All right, guys, welcome back here and yet to another episode here in the new setup. Um, God, man, football's back, dude.
Football is back
I
and
mean,
not
it's
preseason anymore.
yeah,
We're
week
for
zero.
real.
Hey, it's better than nothing. There is one great game. We'll get to that later. But yeah, dude, college football's back. NFL right around the corner. Obviously, just a few games this weekend, but hey, better than just baseball on the weekend. But yeah, let's get straight into the first game. Uh, Kansas versus Fresno State at home. Can the Jayhawks fly over the Bulldogs in their home opener?
I think they can. Uh, they've been the beneficiaries of what is it, $300 million for this year, and obviously that's not it. They're not bringing it out, but I do think it's they've I've liked the recruiting they've had over the years. Recently, I mean, obviously not to be contenders in the Big 12 yet, but I think they're strong enough to beat a team like Fresno State this year, and who lost their quarterback from last year. He's now at Michigan, so I don't think they'll be able to keep up
Yeah.
with Kansas State there.
I think the spread's around 12 points for that game. Obviously, Kansas heavily favored. I mean, they're returning, what's his,
Jalen
Jalen
Daniels.
Daniels. I don't know how to pronounce his first name correctly. It's either Jalen or Jalen. I don't know. But Daniels guy, stud, absolutely
Yes.
scrambler.
I remember when he was
Coming
people,
into last season, he was like probably top quarterback in the
Big
coming
12.
into the Big 12. Obviously,
Heisman
injuries
candidate,
and poor team performance brought that down. But it seems like people are not talking about him as much coming into this season. So maybe that's when he'll perform. But we saw Kansas when he came back in mid to late season, them really pick up some upset wins and ruin some people's seasons. So I think that's the kind of Kansas we'll see. I don't think they're top contenders in the Big 12, but they're in that middle pack and they can beat some good teams, but also lose to some bad ones. And it all starts with if Daniels can stay healthy, and I think it'll be a little kind of warm up game again. I mean, Fresno's no slouch compared to FCS schools, but I mean, kind of a warm up, tune up game there in week zero for Daniels and the Jayhawks to get their footing into the season.
Agreed. Yeah, I want to see them be able to develop their offense in a way they couldn't get going earlier last year. I want to see them be able to do that early this year, so that they can keep playing the way they were playing at the end of the year last year.
I mean, a big loss that can't be overstated is their running back Devin Neal not there this season. Obviously, they got Hillenshaw, great, but he was a great backup for Neal last year. But we'll see. I think he'll be good, but Neal was something special at Kansas as well. Some people say the Kansas football get uh, big. Hey, that's good. That's good. All right, moving on to our second game here. A showdown in Oahu. We got Hawaii versus Stanford. What a battle in the Big Island. What are your thoughts, man?
First game for Frank Reich at Stanford. Another game to see if we can legitimize the Andrew Luck regime there as GM. As just this note, they decided to start Ben Goldbrinson over Elijah Brown, who was forced to recruit a couple years ago. Interesting to me. He's obviously been the backup at Oregon State for a couple years now, so it's going to be interesting to see the way I imagine pro-style offense with Frank Reich there. So I want to see what that's going to be like. But Hawaii's been very good for the last couple of years.
They've really picked it up a little bit, but nothing crazy. But
obviously nothing crazy, not to a power, maybe not to the level of a Power 4 team like Stanford. But the game's in Oahu. It's a 6-8 hour flight. I don't know what it is from Palo Alto. It's going to be
probably around 6. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of issues they need to overcome. Plus, it's the first game in new regime. I think I can see Hawaii pulling this one out.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the spread's 2.5 favors Stanford. Wouldn't mind a little Hawaii money line sprinkle there. No, I think, yeah, like you said, a lot of changes. Stanford hasn't been the Stanford since the McCaffrey days and all those big names. I think, like you said, that flight might have an effect, but I think they'll be there. They're probably there now. Yeah, but no, I think we've seen this matchup maybe, I know last year, but maybe a couple seasons now in week zero. or week 1, but I feel like most of the time week 0 because I've been desperate to bet sometimes and I have bet on this game. And usually lose because I bet on the Rainbow Warriors and they never come through. But hopefully this year.
This is the Rainbow Warriors. Yeah. This is their year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about these teams, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend. But I
did
do.
my road to glory in Hawaii, so I have a lot of faith in it.
Yeah, I do think Hawaii could pull this one out, but I'm going to pick Stanford here. I do think they'll get this done, even with the new head coach. And yeah, just I don't expect crazy things from Stanford this season or Hawaii, but hey, they'll pick up a good win here in week 0 in Oahu and fly home to I don't even know who they play the week after, but
just stay home to Palo Alto.
Yeah, just go home. And then all right, this last game in week 0. Obviously, there's a couple more games, but we decided to focus on these three juggernauts of a game.
Exactly.
Moving
this
on.
This one is though.
No, it
First
is.
ever ranked week 0 game.
No, great game. It's across the pond. We got 2 Big 12 contenders. You can say top 3, top 4, battling here in Dublin. What are your thoughts on this one, man?
I've been very vocal about my strong support for Kansas State. I really like what they're doing this year. I think Avery Johnson's, again, a sleeper Heisman candidate. I think he's very mobile, and I do think he's matured in the passing game. Hopefully he's shown a lot more of that over the summer, over training camp, fall camp, and he displays that in Dublin. And I think overall Kansas State is strong enough offensively and defensively to overcome the expectations. They couldn't do it last year. Well, Iowa State surprised us last year. They obviously get Rocco Beck back and a couple of other major pieces, but they did lose those 2 receivers to the Houston Texans, which I think were such a crucial part for them down the line. So I feel like that passing game is going to need to be revamped, and I feel like it's too early to a Kansas State team that returns a little bit more, and I like them.
Yeah. I love this Iowa State. I don't love this Iowa State team, but I love Rocco Beck. Watching him in that Big 12, just losing by 21, just getting hammered every play, and him bouncing back. Obviously, one bad. Mm-hmm. The last hit kind of knocked him out for the rest of the game, but I mean, gotta love the mentality to that kid. But I do like Kansas State to get an edge in a close, high-scoring game, and I think I like both their offense. I think they're gonna be putting on an air show. I think. Avery Johnson's running game is going to be the difference in this game, and his ability to make nothing plays out of make something out of nothing plays, is going to be the difference here, and his running ability and scrambling ability. I think it'll be tough for Iowa State to contain. I mean, we saw, I know it's a different defense, but we saw in the championship game them struggle to contain Sam Leavitt, and they're the kind of same type of player. So I am going to pick Kansas State here in Dublin, but maybe it'd be like last year where we see. Oh, I wouldn't say this is a crazy upset. Like, what was the Florida State who they lose to? I don't even.
Florida State was that Georgia Tech?
Yeah, it was Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it was Georgia Tech.
Even though Georgia Tech ended up being good, but yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa State pulled this one out. But I will stick with the Wildcats on this one because I am high. Not as high as you are, but I am high on them this year.
The craziest thing about that Dublin game was when
Seamus the Picker
to go all the way to the national championship, and everybody clowned him, and they made it.
And look, Seamus knows ball, man.
Seamus knows ball.
I wonder who the guest picker is going to be this time. Maybe who's a famous Irish person?
Who's a famous Irish person? Nah, no way they bring out Killian Murphy who's the first time.
No,
he probably doesn't even know what American football is.
Yeah.
Who else?
But we'll see. We shall see. It'll be interesting. All right, let's move in. Let's go in. We have 2 sections here, the best bets of this week, and then we did futures for the whole season for college football. But I'll go straight into my best bet for this week. I kind of alluded to it in the analysis of this Kansas State-Iowa State game. I'm taking the over 49.5 points. I mean, usually the Big 12 is very high-scoring, high-powered offenses versus, I wouldn't say weak defenses, but defenses that can't keep up with these offenses. And I really like the offenses from Kansas State especially. I think they can put up 30 by themselves, even more. And so Iowa State just needing 20 points here. I think Rocco Beck can get that done with 2 to 3 passing touchdowns in this game. And I really like the over 49.5 in this game.
I like that one a lot too. For my best bet for this week, I stuck with Kansas State as well. but I actually don't see this game being as close as you presume. I have them KSU -3, mostly because I think they're going to win by a touchdown, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, I
Around,
mean the touchdown's still a close game.
No, it's
but
still,
yeah. I know.
still,
I do like that -3. I just no, like I would bet it too. If it was -2.5, I would be all over that. But it's always that
it's
doubt.
The 3. It's
it's that number.
That's obviously the issue. But I feel very comfortable with it being around 6, 7, maybe even further. That's why I want to bet.
No, I mean, if you're gonna pick a team to win 3 points, it's not that much. That's a good bet, man. And I considered that. I just like the over a little bit better. But let's go straight into your futures here to either players or teams or win totals or stuff like that.
We just talked a lot about them. No need to mention them a lot more. I think they are the number 1 and true contender for the Big 12 this year, and that's Kansas State's at 8+ wins this year at -210.
Is that my bad? Because obviously I don't know what you're picking. Is that 7.5 wins or just 8?
Just 8+.
Okay.
So
okay,
I guess 8.
So when they get 8.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've talked enough about them. I think Avery Johnson's going to be great this year. The defense is going to be great this year. And just looking at their schedule, there's a lot of wins there. And they have the pole position for a spot in the Big 12 championship. So that's why I'm leaning towards them.
That's your only feature?
No. I thought we were taking turns.
We'll go all yours, all mine, and then we'll recap at the end real quick.
Okay.
Just rapid fire.
All right. Then my next one, LSU to make the playoffs plus 114. We've talked a lot about LSU in this show so far. Big fan of Garrett Nussmeier since even last year when he had his struggles. I was a big fan. The defense is looking better this year. They have the favorable schedule enough. And the O-lines and the receivers tend to be strong in that team, so not a lot to worry about, even though they lost guys like Campbell. Then my next one is Clemson to win the ACC at plus 120. I think Clemson could go undefeated this year, and I think Klubnik is one of the Heisman favorites. And that defense is obviously strong. They're going to have 2 potential top 10 picks on that D-line. Sammy Brown's a phenomenal linebacker, so I really like that. And then I have Michigan to make the playoffs at plus 210. Again, another team I've spoken of. I really like that defense, really love that defense. I think they win early in the year against OU. And after that, they might find 1 or 2 losses in the games there. I see Ohio State as the only really obvious one. And because of that, I do think the schedule is too favorable for them to not make the playoffs as the 9, 10, 11 seed.
Yeah, I mean, 2 losses in the Big Ten, depending on who you beat and who you lose to.
Yeah, exactly.
Most years will be good enough.
Then those are my little safer best bets. Those are my true bets, but these are my tempted me. They look kind of sexy. Numbers are a little crazier.
Like you?
Exactly. I have Clemson going undefeated at plus 430. I really like those odds. I think their schedule there's really 2 games to look at, and I do consider them the superior team in both of those games.
I mean, the ones that's obviously are scary is LSU, but they get them at home. And then it's that South Carolina game. It'll be if you get to whatever 11-0, it'll be a little stressful there at the end. But
exactly. Again, I just talked about Clemson, so I don't want to. But
wait, sorry. What were the odds on that?
Plus 430.
I think that's good odds.
Yeah. This one I had to go close to heart. Texas national champions at plus 550. They are the betting favorites.
Yeah, plus 550 is still a good price. I feel like everyone. Yeah. I mean, they have the talent to win it.
They have the talent. I think they have the most talented defensive line. Even that they're going to be animals this year. And obviously, we return Arch Manning, Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore. Our running back room is crazy.
Yeah.
Wisner, Baxter, and our offensive line. Most people see it as only 1 returning starter.
Yeah.
In fact, I kind of consider it 3. Gooseby, when Banks came out, the O-line didn't step beat, and Cole Hudson has played in over 30 games of college football, so he's going to be
if you had to point out a weakness, it's probably the O-line, but I mean, it's not weak. It's 5 stars coming in, and
so
experienced
they're
players.
very strong. Our linebackers, Hill's a stud, Leafu's a stud. In the secondary, we return Taft, Malik Muhammad, so I like a lot of what I see. We obviously recruited Jonah Williams, who's going to be a stud eventually. So I have them at plus 550. I really like that. That really tempted me, even though they are the favorites. That's a good look. Then The second favorite, I've mentioned it, and then I picked him as my Heisman last week. I have Cade Klubnik Heisman at plus 900. I like these season long, and it really tempts me to bet on a guy that early. And so I really like the bet, especially at those odds, because he's not the favorite. Arch Manning's above him. So
what is he, the second favorite?
He's second favorite.
Okay.
He was tied for the second best odds.
Well, I think he'll be in that top 4 for sure.
Yeah,
so that would be
top 4.
That, unless, obviously, bar any injuries, we obviously.
And like you said, we've mentioned, it's the schedule really that does it for me because it allows him to build the stats, the stats.
But even like those LSU, like those are signature games he could have against.
He can have the signature Heisman moments.
But it's against a defense that has struggled and teams have gone off, and it'll look good on paper. And I mean, LSU is going to be a great team even if the defense struggles, but it'll look great on paper. Saying like, oh, marquee win versus LSU went off, like when it's compared to other SEC defenses like Texas where you could struggle more.
Yeah, exactly. Then I had this one. This is my craziest bet because I saw the odds and I was like, is it plus 700? And then I looked carefully and I'm pretty sure it was plus 7,000 for Jeremiah Smith to score a receiving touchdown every single game.
How is that plus 7,000? I feel like
so
his line for touchdowns is probably in the season like 11.5. So obviously that doesn't mean he has to get one every game, but like that's pretty good odds. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so I really like that one.
I mean,
think
plus
a lot of people consider
throwing $5 on there.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, a lot of people consider the best offensive player in college football right now.
Yeah,
he's definitely shown the potential to be that. He's an absolute star, and he's the exact same age as their starting quarterback, and they're from the same class. Mm-hmm. And you know what's better for a young QB who doesn't have such a great go-to guy?
A guy that catches everything, man.
So I think it's gonna be a lot, and he's just gonna have a second year of being the best receiver in college. It really does build, and I think this is a very strong possibility that he could even do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some games where he's for sure it'll be those high marquee matchups where like they're not trying to just feed him, they're trying to just win the game. But, I mean, he has potential to score in those, too, because he can catch a screen and break it open, or he can just moss someone in the end zone. So, no, I really like those, man. I have some similarities, maybe a little different betting. I also had Clemson to win the ACC at the same odds. I think they should run through that conference. Only team that may put up a fight, Miami, but I think Clemson way better, way superior, more experienced. So Clemson at plus odds, great bet. Then I got Kansas State also, but not to win the conference. I have them to make the playoffs, plus 380. I thought that price was kind of a steal. I think obviously if they win the Big 12, which they're probably top 2, they will automatically get in. But even if they make the championship with one loss, they'll be kind of SMU treated where they don't count that against them, and they'll slide in there. So it kind of allows for like, oh, they don't necessarily have to win the conference. They just have to make the title game, and I really like that. Then moving on to, I got LSU over 8.5 wins. I mean, we've been high on LSU leading up to this season. Obviously, all the stuff you mentioned, great. One of the best quarterbacks, if not the best, returning. Yeah. Great coach to some extent, except opening weekend. But yeah, I really like this team. I hope their defense is a little stronger. It'll make me feel a little bit better about this, but I do think they've been slowly improving. So I do like LSU. I'm looking at their schedule right now. Mm-hmm. I think LA Tech win, that's 1. CLA 2. Vanderbilt 3. A&M coming in 4. Arkansas coming in 5, Western Kentucky 6, and then they have to find 3 wins here. I think they could beat Clemson, but okay, say they pick up a loss there. I think they beat Florida coming in. That's 7. I think they have a really good shot against a little weaker Ole Miss this year. At Ole Miss, tough environment. I think they still get it done, and then they just have to pick up a win against South Carolina, Bama, or OU to cash that. So, to me, I think they have for sure 8 wins, and they just have to find a win somewhere in 4 games, which I think 3 of them are winnable with the talent on that team. So I think I didn't do them to make the playoffs because I think if they finish 9-3, they might not get in there. But I like that over 8.5 wins. And then moving on to a team I mentioned earlier and we've been high on in other episodes, South Carolina. Over 7.5 wins. I don't know why that's so low. Minus
I don't know.
130. I mean, I'll go over their schedule here real quick. I found 7 wins that don't even bat an eye. And then, look, Virginia Tech week 1, they'll take care of business. SC State win. Vanderbilt win. Kentucky win. That's 4. Oklahoma coming in 5. Then you got Coastal Carolina 6. And then you have to win 2 out of these games, which is Clemson coming in. You go to A&M a little tough. You go to LSU tough. You got Bama coming in, and then you go to Missouri. So I think that one should be a win too. So you just gotta win one tough game, and I think this team is good enough to pick up one of those tough wins, and I think they'll be around 8 to 9. I think their floor is 8 wins and their ceiling's 10. So I like that over 7.5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, even as of right now, I think I prefer them in the game over
Yeah,
Alabama.
especially at home.
Yeah,
but it's like there's skeptics, like you
Yeah,
never know. So, but I'm like, I'm not gonna count that for sure. But that's a winnable
No,
game.
but it's like, you only need one of those, and I already like them. First when you win it, so.
So moving on, quick and simple. Ohio State to win the Big Ten plus 195. I like their conference schedule a lot, and I mean their toughest. I mean Penn State coming in is tough, but their toughest road game is at Michigan. I think they are a better team than Michigan. They could win. But even if that's their only loss, I think they'll still get into that title game, and they're the best team in the conference. So I think they'll win finally for the first time in a while, that Big Ten. And then I got Texas to make the SEC title game plus 130. I think their schedule kind of allows them to do that. I think at Georgia is obviously the hardest game, but even if they lose that one, they should be in that title game. And yeah, plus 130. I like that. And then last one, we spoke about Clemson. I picked them in our predictions. I think plus 1,100 with that experienced team and that coach and that quarterback is too good a price to pass up when basically, barring any major injuries or collapse, there should be a shoe-in for the playoffs. So, to me, that's a good price, 1,100. I'm taking Dabo, Cade, and the boys, and like you said, TJ Parker and those boys in the D-line, some dogs. So I think it reminds me a little bit of Trevor Lawrence's teams and Deshaun Watson teams, and I think they have the makeup of a national championship team. Yeah. So I think that's a great price. So we'll go through these real quick, rapid fire. So, all right, Clemson to win the ACC plus 110, Kansas State to make the playoffs plus 380. LSU over 8.5 wins, minus 120. South Carolina over 7.5 wins, minus 130. Ohio State to win the Big Ten, plus 195. Texas to make the SEC title game, plus 130. And then Clemson to win the Natty, plus 1,100.
Kansas State, 8+ wins at minus 210. LSU to make the playoffs at plus 114. Clemson to win the ACC again at 120. Michigan to make the playoffs at plus 210. Clemson to go undefeated at plus 430. Texas to win the national championship at plus 550. Cade Klubnik to win the Heisman at plus 900. And Jeremiah Smith to score a receiving touchdown every single game, plus 7,000.
Yeah, and if you're feeling like we're the gods, throw them all in a parlay, and you'll be throw $5 on it, and you're gonna be a billionaire. And then come give us some of that money, please. Exactly. But I am not gonna throw it on a parlay. Don't do that. Definitely put $5 on that Jeremiah Smith because that is a good return on investment. Little risk, high potential, and a thing that's very possible. So we're done with these predictions. Since it was kind of short because week 0 is obviously shorter, we decided to throw in here predicting every game day location after, week 1's already set, but I also included week 1. But yeah, you want to go through week 1? We'll skip
week 1, obviously.
Texas at OSU.
Lee's going to pick his last ever game at UT OSU.
Yeah.
And he's going to end the opposite of how he begun. He picked Ohio State. He's going to end picking against Ohio State. Right. Or he's going to end being wrong, one of the two.
All right, moving on to this week 2. We probably have the same one. There's not a lot going on here.
Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan
Oklahoma.
at OU, the rivals of the first ones,
Exactly.
facing each other. I think.
Sharon Moore going
Yeah,
back to his alma mater.
yeah. I mean,
Two teams that
best game
trying
that
to
weekend by
yeah,
far.
two
Yeah.
teams trying to return to
To the
glory.
yeah
They had
two
down years last year.
two historic programs.
Yeah.
So I think they'll definitely go. Week 3. This is where there was multiple
Mm-hmm.
options here. Where'd you go, man?
I went Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. It felt a lot more obvious to me. Notre Dame were obviously in the national championship this year. I feel like there's higher expectations again on A&M this year, and it's in South Bend, and I think it's gonna be a great showdown. And there's a lot of expectations. To a new starter, CJ Carr was just announced, so I think it's gonna be there.
Yeah, we combined again. I had A&M at Notre Dame. I did consider Georgia at Tennessee.
I consider Georgia.
I just
Tennessee
think those teams are going to be featured way more.
exactly
Another thing, so I think they're going to give some love to Notre Dame here, and obviously another great game, a rematch from last year. That was a good game, not in my eyes, but it was a good football game.
It was actually disgusting to watch. No, that was.
And then
not a
good
game.
defensive football game, man.
It was actually a really good defense. I'll give him. I'm gonna correct. It was not a disgusting football game. I've always been like defensive football is fun to watch. I actually had a good time watching the game.
No, it's offensive football. It's obviously way more.
But
fun.
it's all yeah.
Yeah, but if you like defense, that was the defensive game. Yeah, moving on to week 4 here. There's a lot of options. I went a different route. There was a lot of the same teams in the picture that I've included later on. So I decided to go a little different, show a little love to the Big 12, show a little love to that West Coast, or I guess it's Mountain Time. But I went Tech at Utah. I think they're both going to be up there. I mean, it's early in the season, but they're both up there in the rankings in the Big 12, and two teams that have a lot of expectations coming into the season. So I think they'll give some love to the Big 12 in that week.
I went a little different direction. I went UF versus Miami.
I consider that one.
Florida battle.
The reason. Sorry, I'll let.
I think it'll be a much different result from last year. Obviously, I think Florida's going to come in from a kind of hot start with DJ Lagway and Carson Beck's. While that team might be not as good as they were last year, I think that offense is still going to get rolling. I think it's going to be a great fit for Beck, and they're going to that passing attack's going to be at least really good, and it's going to be a very interesting game with two hot teams going week 4.
Yeah, I think that was the second one on my list. I heard not to put that on there. Miami's known for having a lot of empty games these type of years, so I didn't think they would want to go to Miami because the atmosphere is not as good. So that's why I went with Utah. But definitely up there, probably going to be the best game played that weekend, unless surprises in the early weeks. Week 5, man, what you got?
I put Bama and UGA as my answer just because it's an SEC game. It's basically been the SEC game for the last couple of years. And obviously, Game Day and ESPN tend to favor the SEC over some other conferences. But I do have it marked right there. Oregon, Penn State has to be one you're looking at as well. Penn State's currently the number 2 team in the country. I think they'll be the number 2 team in the country by then. Because say Texas wins against Ohio State, they're going to stay 1 until they lose, and I don't see them a loss. They don't have a loss on their schedule by week 5. Say Ohio State beats UT, they don't have a loss in there. They're going to jump Penn State by then because they would have beat them. And they don't have a loss till week 5, so it's the number 2 team in the country against Oregon, who I don't think has a loss before that. And say someone does have a loss before that, say Ohio State or Texas, I don't know how far they'd fall, but they might fall. So you're looking at a top 5 potential matchup there as well, and one that could be the decider for a Big Ten championship spot that might not necessarily be the stakes of a Bama UGA with an SEC championship spot, since I feel like there are a lot more competitors at the top of that.
Yeah, I also had those contenders. I also considered LSU and Ole Miss, but once I scrolled down and saw the other games, I was like, they're out the window. Yeah. That Oregon and Penn State, I just included Georgia, Bama because that's where they went last year. The opposite, it'll be a great environment. Two teams that have recently, or like these past 10 years, hated each other. They're usually competing in the championship game or national and conference championship game. So I think they'll end up going there unless one of them slips up and they move to Penn State. But I mean, I could see them. No one will be upset if they go to Oregon, Penn State, and it'll probably be the white, or I know it's gonna be the whiteout game.
Is it
I
a night
think
game?
I think yeah, 6:30.
6:30.
They're both at 6:30. Yeah. So I think both are good options. I just went with Bama and Georgia. And then moving on here to my week 6, I want to show the ACC some love here. I think they're definitely going to go this location for a crazy offseason change that happened. Bill Belichick coming in, and then you got Dabo Sweeney and them Tigers coming in. I think based on the media and to get more attention, they're going to go to Clemson UNC this week.
Yeah, I almost went Clemson UNC as well, but I just had a different picture in my mind. Manning versus Lagway.
I would consider that as well, man.
I don't think that's something ESPN and will ignore, especially with two such big names, and quarterback battles always being the thing we normally market towards. Obviously, the Allen Mahomes, the Brady Mannings. So I think this is one that could build for the next 2 years in the SEC, maybe even heading into a potential draft day rivalry. Oh, who's going to be the number 1 pick eventually, Manning Lagway? I think people could see this as the foundation of that. And I think people kind of forget, before Lagway got hurt in that Texas game, it was closer than you'd think.
No, yeah, that was
it's going to be a good game. I think Florida is going to be. I've already had them have a game for game day. I think they're going to be a good team, and Texas, I think at that point is still the number 1 team in the country. So
yeah, I think that was the other one I considered. I just thought they would give some love to another conference, and I was scared Florida maybe early seasons might fall, and I mean Texas is going to be up there in the brand always, and Florida brand also, but I think Florida could lose to LSU before, and maybe Miami, but yeah, moving on. What's your week 7 here, man?
For week 7, I have South Carolina is going to start a stretch of South Carolina games for me that I did not
anticipate. Same.
But I have South Carolina versus LSU.
I do as well, man. Yeah. I think. Go ahead. I just wanted to add that.
I mean, just 2 elite quarterbacks that, again, like I market. You got Sellers. You have Nussmeier. Anybody who's seen the SEC show has gotten to know them a little bit better.
Going into Death Valley, crazy fan base. A game at that moment we think it's probably going to be high stakes for positioning in the conference and playoff seeding.
And that was a great game last year before Sellers got hurt. Yeah. Even after Sellers got hurt, imagine had he stayed in.
Yeah, I think this week was hard, man. There's a lot of games to consider.
Even Red River
considered here, Ohio State, Illinois, great game, a place they normally don't go to, Illinois. What's another one? Indiana, Oregon. Indiana could have a cupcake schedule again, and and then Oregon, they love going there. There's Florida A&M, great environment, great game should be. There was another one. Hold on. Obviously, Red River, like you mentioned. Yeah. Great heated rivalry, 2 teams that could be really good leading up to that game. Obviously, Texas more on the OU side. There's a little worry because they have the toughest schedule in the country. And then another one I considered Michigan at USC, kind of given that West Coast love, and obviously Bryce Underwood and his story that season. But I think South Carolina and LSU will be the best option at that point.
Well.
Then moving on to my week 8, this is where I went this game instead of Georgia at Tennessee. I went Tennessee at Bama. I think going to Alabama, it's kind of like a yearly thing, and this is the best game they host. So, I mean, 2 teams that hate each other, a lot of drama these last couple years, and I think they'll go there, to be honest.
Yeah. For my week 8 game, as I mentioned, I have a run of SC games. I got OU coming to South Carolina. I think this is a game that could get game day even if it's a week after OU has lost to Texas, because I think the competition that week is not as strong as it is some other weeks. But I do think even if it is heavily depending, I think at least one team needs to have won the week before in big games for each of them. But I do think it's one of the best games available that week, and I think both teams will be strong.
Yeah.
And they love to show SEC love. So.
Yeah, definitely consider that. I just went with the bigger brands
Yeah.
that week. Moving on to week 9, 2 teams that were just mentioned. Bama at South Carolina. I think
have them as well.
Yeah, I think that's where they'll show South Carolina some love. They'll be a great team with playoff aspirations by then. Bama's kind of on that fence as well. Great environment, crazy fans, and SEC again. And I think they'll go. I mean, we saw the drama of last year's game in Alabama. South Carolina pushed them to the edge, and I think this year they'll get them. But I think that's where game day and the boys will show up.
I agree. Then for my week 10, I'll get straight into it. I have Penn State versus South Carolina. I'm kidding. I have Penn State versus Ohio State. We end South Carolina's 3-week run in this hypothetical world. I mean, what much can you really say? It's going to be probably the 2 best teams in the Big Ten at that point. 2 teams with national championship aspirations. Teams that could be the number one of them could be the number 1 team potentially by then. If not one is definitely going to be top 3. The other one probably top 5. It's going to be a great showdown, and it's been going to be a great defensive game. I think it'll definitely be more defensive than it has been some couple years. But you still have Jeremiah Smith, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I have the exact same one. There's no other option that week unless both teams somehow suck, which doesn't happen. Won't repeat what you said, but that's where they're gonna go. Yeah. This is one of the ones I'm for sure that's happening.
Yeah.
Moving on here to my week 11, there's a couple options. I went Indiana at Penn State. I think Indiana will be up there in the rankings, not like maybe as 5 as they were last year, but I think they'll be up there, and I think Penn State, they want to go there, show off that great environment, and have a great team like Indiana come in. And I have a lot of SEC in here. I wanted to add some diversity as well.
I did not. I did diversity, and I kept it in a classic showdown. I had it on my top rivalries list. It's LSU, Alabama.
Yeah.
Very expected. Nick Saban Bowl, I think both teams are going to be fighting for a playoff spot at this moment. Especially Alabama, I think is going to be flirting with that line a little bit more, and I think LSU is going to be very hot, and it's just going to be marketed as that kind of showdown for a playoff spot, showdown for a potential championship game spot. So I think they keep going there, especially since they love Bama there over at ESPN.
Yeah. I mean, I just had Bama too many times, so I didn't do that, and I like the other games better.
I also have shown Bama love only once so far, so they have to get
I had 3 before that, so I was like, let's give Big Ten some love here. That's the only other game I could have considered is Bama at LSU. I think, like you said, it's going to be kind of like last year. It's like playoff, win or go home kind of deal. Moving on, what's your week 12, man? I think this one's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think this is probably the easiest one maybe in this whole list. Maybe the easiest since UMOU, since there's it's Texas, Georgia. They played twice last year.
3 times. No, twice. I'm tripping.
Twice,
yeah. Sorry.
Played twice last year. One in Austin, one in the championship game in Atlanta. The second game was very good. The first game was a blowout. But obviously Texas has higher expectations this year than they did last year. Georgia maybe has lower expectations than they did last year. But both teams are still expected to be top 5 by this point in the year. And it's the SEC. There's really not much more to it. It feels just like point blank and shoot for game day to pick this location. Athens is one of the college towns recognized all over the country as one of the best Southern cultures, so they're definitely going to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I feel like the only contenders here are South Carolina at A&M and OU at Bama, and I mean, though Texas and Georgia should be way better than all those teams, and the history from last year and the environment and just, I mean, they were obviously here in Austin last year, so I think they'll just run it back.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving on here to week 13, I felt bad for not showing Florida some love because I think they'll be a great team. So I got Tennessee coming in here and at Florida, and they're showing Florida some love there, and Lagway against.
I picked the same game to show Tennessee some love. I haven't picked them all year. I picked Florida 3 times already, so this is the 3rd time I picked Florida, so got to give Tennessee some love in that week.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I mean, the only other ones I kind of considered here are Yeah, I didn't really consider
There's
anything else, man.
There's not many options week
Yeah,
13.
I guess. I just saw one. Hold on. USC at Oregon, if they want to show Oregon some love. But
Yeah,
I think Tennessee and Florida would be better teams.
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, week 14, this one was a little tough. I wanted to go our A&M Texas rivalry, but that game's on a Friday. So, I mean, they could still do it, but I think they're going to go.
They could do double. They could
They
show up to
yeah, they could.
Austin on a Friday and then fly to wherever they do on Saturday.
But I do think, for the sake of picking one, they're going to go to Ohio State and Michigan. The game, Ohio State should be top 5 in the country. Michigan should be way better than they were last year. And I think the storyline, can Ohio State finally get over that hump with Ryan Day against Michigan? Yeah. And maybe there's some Big Ten title game implications. So I think they'll end up going to that game, which we ranked as the biggest rivalry in the game. So
I have the same pick as well. I considered more than Texas A&M. I considered Clemson, South Carolina.
Yeah, another great one.
Because I think Clemson's surefire top 3 team at that point in the year, probably undefeated. South Carolina again, so close to a playoff spot. I think by that point.
Yeah.
But I have Ohio State, Michigan as well. I think Ohio State is a surefire top 3 team at this point in the year. I think Michigan's going to have a great team at this point. Again, probably a little higher ranked than I think they're going to end up because as of right now, I think I picked them to lose. And I don't know how they might only have one loss by this point, so they might be still in the top
10.
7 maybe
Yeah.
Because of that. Because I think they finished as around the 10, so I think that's where you get after an Ohio State loss. So I think just a great showdown, and the fact that it's Ann Arbor, such a noticeable college town, and with that rivalry, I think is what puts it there.
Yeah. So I mean, we agreed on most of those, but I mean, obviously, it never plays out what you think. Yeah. Teams are sometimes worse or sometimes better teams. Different storylines pop up.
Yeah, one of these teams is gonna let everybody down. Yeah. There's gonna be a team nobody's mentioned who's gonna show up.
Playoff implications may come through. But yeah, drop in the comments who you guys think game day is gonna go every week, or at least. I mean, week 1's already announced. Week 2, week 2, week 3, whatever. But yeah, thanks.
Honestly, starting week 3, we all know.
Yeah. But thank you guys for watching. Now that this football is finally back, we're gonna start dropping. We're just gonna start dropping Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays are reactions, and then Thursdays are predictions for the weekend. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope subscribe, like the video, and let us know anything in the comments you want to let us know. If you want to talk crap, you can talk crap. I like that stuff. All right. Thank you guys.